Hello and welcome to Physical Therapy, a movie podcast inspired by the world of physical media. My name is Kurt.
My name is Sam.
On today's episode, Sam and I are going to watch and then jump right back on the mics to live react to the 2005 Keanu Reeves vehicle, Constantine.
Have you seen this?
Yes, I think I saw this in the theater.
I definitely didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it like when it was like new to DVD, and I don't remember anything about it.
Same here. This was released earlier this year from Warner Brothers on 4K, just a standard studio style release. That is what I will be watching. Sam, did you pick up that 4K?
I did, yeah. I feel like this was one of the movies that maybe started as a steelbook only and then moved to a normal release. Am I wrong in that?
I know there is a steelbook. I'm not sure if there was an order like that to it.
I picked up the studio release non-steelbook.
Sam, before we do that, it has been a while since we've checked in on announcements. There have been so many.
Yeah, let's highlight some of them.
The first one, when I'm scrolling through Dawn of the Discs here on Instagram, the first one that jumps out to me was a wish of mine, I believe, at some point, and a favorite movie of mine. Sunset Boulevard is coming out from Paramount on 4K later this summer.
A wish of mine also got answered in Shout Factory's Strangers with Candy Blu-ray of the movie. The show is not announced in any way, but the movie will be coming out on just Blu-ray. Just Blu-ray, not a 4K.
You're a fan of the movie, I take it?
I'm a fan of the movie, which acts as like a prequel to the show, but the show is better. And the funniest parts of the movie are actually bits from the show. Like they reuse jokes in the movie because it came out so long after the show ended.
Okay.
But the movie is still hilarious. The supporting cast of the movie is nuts. It's like Philip Seymour Hoffman, Allison Janney, Matthew Broderick. A lot of people are in this.
Wow, cool. Another, I believe, wish of one of ours and a shared favorite that's coming out on Steelbook only as of now from Paramount is a little movie called Small Soldiers.
Hey.
The 4K is coming. And I'm very curious to see this because I feel like the Blu-ray is not very good that they put out a few years ago. That was like a never on Blu-ray title, before we started this show, but it was one that you and I would always just be like, where is Small Soldiers? And then it didn't turn out that great on Blu-ray.
And it's a super bare bones release. It's like not, the whole release is just like bad.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if this will have any, new transfer or something. I don't think they've really detailed it yet.
I'm also hoping for a non-steelbook for myself personally, but hell yeah. There's a bunch of Arrow stuff. Arrow announced their July slate, and that has Fulci's Zombie, Flesh Eaters, or Zombie 2. The movie's got about 900 different titles, but it's the Fulci zombie movie where a zombie and a shark fight.
Yeah, you were educating me on the titles, the many titles of this film. I have a Blue Underground Blu-ray of it. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, but not a 4K, so it's tempting.
Yeah, I do as well. It's going to be an Arrow big box, so I'm pretty much sold on that. They announced an upgrade for The Stuff. That'll be coming to 4K.
Yep.
The Larry Cohen movie, which rules.
Which is about like
killer ice cream, pretty much.
Yeah, killer ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah. Stallone's Cobra, Crime is a Disease, Meet the Cure is the tagline for that movie. This movie's bad, but kind of good. It's also like 82 minutes long.
Okay.
The rumor is that it just got cut to shreds because the movie doesn't really make any sense. Like there's it's a very interestingly cut movie, but I'm really excited to pick this one up and rewatch it.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll talk me into that.
They also released kind of like a little promo video that none of it was dated.
Oh, yeah.
They just threw a bunch of titles out. So that's going to be stuff like Spawn at some point. Creepshow 2 will be getting a 4K upgrade.
Yeah, this is Arrow we're talking about.
Yeah. Mona Lisa, Rawhead Rex, Nightbreed.
To Live and Die in LA.
To Live and Die in LA. Thief.
Yeah.
The Visitor, which is an insane movie that Alamo Drafthouse, when they had a Blu-ray arm put out.
Yeah, Spawn is one I'm excited for. It might be terrible, but I just have a memory of seeing Spawn. It was like rated R.
No, it's PG-13. That's like one of the issues with the movie.
Isn't there an R-rated cut though?
There is I believe, a R-rated director's cut that I don't think I've ever seen.
Maybe this will be that. I just remember my sister taking me, I think, to see it in the theater and just being like, I think this movie's bad, but I also feel like cool being here seeing this. And there's some nostalgia to it.
I mean, I definitely saw it in theaters. We were texting about this movie and I was like, doesn't Spawn kind of suck? And Kurt said, with that attitude. And I was like, you know what? You're right. You are right about that.
But I feel like it's going to have good design, good costumes, good effects, makeup effects and stuff. I worry a little bit about CGI at that time.
There is a lot of it in there.
Okay. Martin Sheen is in this movie?
Yeah. So is John Leguizamo.
Yeah. And then is Spawn played by Gamble from The Dark Knight, Michael Douglas?
Yeah, it is, baby.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, it is, baby.
Dude, Spawn is awesome.
Talking about comic book movies, Kino announced that they will be releasing the Billy Zane vehicle, The Phantom.
Dude, yes.
Are
we doing The Phantom?
You better believe we're doing The Phantom on this show.
Oh,
maybe we'll do a Phantom Spawn twofer.
Oh, shit.
The only thing I remember of the Phantom is that he's got like a helper, and that guy says, "No smoking in the Skull Cave."
Who plays him?
No idea. Like, truly no idea.
What else?
Okay, so it like kind of got announced, which was going to be my wish for this show, is Way of the Gun, the Chris McQuarrie movie.
That was going to be your wish?
Yeah.
What's up with Way of the Gun?
That's what I'm trying to... Dude, I haven't seen it since I rented it on VHS in like 2000.
Is it Ryan Phillippe?
And Benicio.
Oh, yeah. I never saw this.
I bet you it's awesome.
Christopher McQuarrie directed it?
I believe so. He definitely wrote it.
Okay.
So according to Dawn of the Discs, it is a Lionsgate limited exclusive. It looks like a steelbook.
You know what else is a Lionsgate limited?
What?
A little movie called Frailty.
Oh, shit. That just got announced.
Starring Bill Paxton. Directed by Bill Paxton, actually, as well. Starring Bill Paxton and McConaughey, which is a really fun Christian thriller, I guess you could call it.
Those were demons. Why can't you see that?
It rocks. I have it on Blu-ray.
Do you have any of these Lionsgate like limited exclusives?
Not that I know of. I'm not really sure what else has been part of that. Are they all steelbooks?
I think so.
I don't think I do.
Okay. I think some of their packaging, they might be like a steelbook that has a clear slip sleeve over it.
Love that.
Yeah. Anything to make it look less like a fucking steelbook, I'm there for.
I posted this on our Instagram story recently, but my question is, what's up with K2 starring Michael Biehn?
Oh, shit. He's the lead of it?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know this movie. You know who I think loves this movie is Trav B.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
Let's get in touch with him. I want to know what's up with it. This is a Kino 1991 movie that's coming out, it's a 1991 movie coming out on Kino 4K. It appears to be about ice rock cliff climbers, and it says the tagline is 28,000 feet. You're hanging on by your fingernails. The adrenaline alone could kill you. I am buying this movie.
Yeah, I'm so in. Shout Factory also announced a new sub-label called Hong Kong Cinema Classics, and their first couple releases are going to be a 5-movie Jet Li box set. So I believe like spine number wise, that's 1 through 5. And then we have 2 more. The John Woo film Hard Boiled, starring Chow Yun-fat, which people have been dying for to get on disc. And then a movie called City on Fire that also stars Chow Yun-fat that I haven't seen, but I've heard cool things about.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm stoked on those.
There's some Shout releases that I'm excited for. We've got The Place Beyond the Pines, which we offlined about a little bit, and I know you're not a big fan of, but I like the first half of that movie enough to own it, and I don't already own it.
Yeah, the first 30 minutes are incredible.
Yeah.
It's the rest of the movie that's just so dumb.
Yeah. Ace Ventura Pet Detective in 4K. Ooh, grind.
Dude, I know.
It's too bad it's not a 2-pack. I kind of wish it was like an Arrow situation. I wish it was Conan the Barbarian, the double pack, but the Ace Ventura movies.
It's unfortunate because I do think that the first one has been a little canceled because there is like some blatant transphobia in that movie.
Absolutely, yeah.
But there are phenomenal laughs that have nothing to really do with that part of it.
Yeah, definitely. And just like the performances,
incredible.
Iconic, legendary stuff.
Yeah.
Just give me When Nature Calls on 4K. Let me see Jim Carrey birthed out of a rhino in the most detailed resolution available.
Kind of hot in these rhinos.
Bat guano. Another one that they announced that I don't think I've ever seen, but my dad was a really big fan of, is a Mike Nichols movie written by Elaine May, who directed like Mikey and Nicky, if you ever saw that.
Yeah.
Called Primary Colors. And it basically is kind of a parody, I think, of Bill Clinton. And it's a political like kind of satire comedy. And John Travolta plays the president. And it's like a movie that when I was a kid was always interested in because I knew my dad liked it, but I was like way too young to watch. So I'm really excited to see that finally.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about this movie.
I'll be honest, I had no idea it was Mike Nichols until it was announced, this Shout version.
That's cool.
The last one I want to mention to you, Sam, is Dawn of the Discs posted recently a 4K steelbook of Fury, the David Ayer, Brad Pitt World War II tank movie. And I was like, oh shit, dude. Fury in 4K?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I don't care if it's a steelbook. Let's go. And then about 8 minutes later, I realized that Fury is already on 4K.
Yeah.
I already own it and I've already watched it. At least I didn't pre-order this.
No, this is like one of those upgrades that I keep on an Amazon list because I know I'm always going to need like $15 to get up to free shipping or something. And that's when I will upgrade Fury because also my Blu-ray spine is like insanely faded. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sign me up for Fury, baby. Fury rules.
It does rule. I remember during the pandemic, I was doing for a while, I was just like posting on my stories. I would just post a poster of a movie, whatever I was watching that day. Mm-hmm. And I remember, I think that's when I watched this 4K and I posted the poster of Fury. And my friend Ben replied, he just said, a movie about a haircut, which I think was like the funniest review of Fury. But Fury's tight.
Incredible. The last thing I will point out is Universal announced that they will be releasing a complete series of Murder, She Wrote on Blu-ray.
Are you into that?
My question is, what's up with Murder, She Wrote?
I think maybe my grandparents really liked it. Someone in my childhood, like that shit was on when I was growing up. Somewhere.
I remember like seeing reruns of it on USA or TNT or something.
It's probably awesome.
All right, let us know. Drop a comment on the Instagram. Let us know, should I buy Murder, She Wrote on Blu-ray?
What's up with Murder, She Wrote? Anything to confess tonight, Sam, before we watch Constantine?
I do. I've kind of lost my mind lately and broke my I'm only buying things during sales rule, but I scooped up some stuff from Shout directly, and I got a fun order of Sorority House Massacre, which I've never seen, but I'm very excited to watch. Time Cop, which I've also never seen.
I think we have to do Time Cop on
the show.
Like, what are you doing like this week? Because we should probably just do Time Cop next week.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm in, man. Just let me know when. An upgraded version of Night of the Creeps, which I'm actually really happy to get because I had never upgraded when they put it out on Blu-ray. And I had a really bare bones, kind of crappy release on Blu-ray. So this feels like a very justified upgrade.
Cool. I got that too. And I don't really remember it. I remember you showed it to me when we lived in Culver City.
Oh, yeah. I remember that actually in the garage.
Yeah, but I have much of a memory. I just know you like it, so I got it.
Yeah, I'm stoked on that. And then the big one of this order was the Blaxploitation Classics Volume 1.
Yes.
I still will say it's like the ugliest outer box I've seen on a Blu-ray in a long time. But inside, all 6 releases are all on 4K, and they all have their own cases. It's a really nice set, and it has Across 110th Street, Black Caesar, Hell Up in Harlem, Coffee, Sheba Baby, and Truck Turner.
Easy to just flip that thing around, though, and display those spines.
Yeah, without a doubt, which is what I'm going to do ultimately. But how cool. I'm so excited to dive into that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm tempted by that, too.
Yeah, what'd you get?
I will confess that I pre-ordered a Steelbook box set of 6 Sean Connery Bond movies.
Oh, shit. You got the...
in 4K.
There's 2 different versions of that, right?
Yeah, one is like you can tell is like a big fat jewel case style with, where inside it's going to have like plastic double-sided disc holders that flip through like, pages.
Like Twin Peaks Season 3.
Yes, and I actually don't even know if that was being offered when I pre-ordered it because I feel like for a second it was only the Steelbooks. But the Steelbook one is cool because it's like a box set with like little sleeves for individual Steelbooks.
Is that still available?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I pre-ordered it just on Amazon like a month ago, but pretty excited for that.
That's awesome.
It's got some good ones.
Yeah, it's all of his.
It's only 6. Are there only 6 Sean Connerys?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Thunderball, Goldfinger, You Only Live Twice, and Diamonds Are Forever. Now, there is like an unofficial 7th one called Never Say Never Again.
Right.
But I don't believe that one is canon.
Yeah, so stoked on that. I believe it comes out in June.
Great.
All right, Sam, here we go. Constantine, 2005. We're going to rediscover this movie. Keanu Reeves, Angels, Demons.
Yeah, I think he plays John Constantine, also known as Hellblazer in the comics. And he has the ability to like kind of walk between worlds, I believe.
I remember he's trying to quit smoking. That's all I can tell you about this movie. And Shia's in it.
Shia surprise, baby.
All right, we're hopping off. We'll be back. If you want to pause this and watch Constantine, Godspeed. We will see you in the future. We are back. We have gone to hell several times since we've last spoken. Sam, Constantine. So our plan was to sort of more or less like recap this movie.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that prospect? This movie is pretty complicated.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be like next to impossible to walk scene through scene of this movie.
I took notes on my phone while we watched, and I would just like to read you a couple of those notes.
Yeah, hit me with bullet points.
This is not us starting the recap. This is just me having fun looking at what I wrote down. I have Sig entrance.
Ooh, that was good.
Shia, quote, "You're fucked." Bug, rat, crab man. Hell is just LA, LOL. Kills Two-Face. And the last thing I wrote down with 2 question marks after it is Michelle Monaghan?
Yeah, without a doubt. That was definitely her. It was definitely her. Do you know who that actor is who plays Two-Face?
No.
Okay. That is Gavin Rossdale, who's not an actor, but the lead singer of 90s alternative band Bush.
Holy shit.
Got a machine head. That band.
So this movie is directed by Francis Lawrence, who is, I would say, maybe most well known for the Hunger Games movies at this point.
This was his directorial debut.
Yes, but he is a very accomplished music video director. He definitely worked with like Nine Inch Nails. He did a lot of music videos for Britney Spears.
Dang.
Like old school classic Britney Spears videos, Lady Gaga videos. Okay, Sam. As I mentioned in the intro, I remembered very little about this movie. I thought he was like trying to quit smoking. In fact, he's just smoking constantly with lung cancer and not doing anything about that. I remembered the ending a little bit. What were your memories?
I remembered a young Shia. Not the ending, but I remember it taking place in a pool.
Yeah, the setting for sure.
And that's about it. Because of the way that I've read comics, I have way more of a relationship now with John Constantine than I did when I originally saw this movie.
Tell me everything about John Constantine as a comic book character, because I obviously knew this was comic based, you know, from the titles. There's like the DC, like Vertigo branding and stuff at the beginning, but I don't know shit about Constantine.
So I don't know a bunch. I'm not going to sit here and say that I do. He is a DC Vertigo character. His comic book is called Hellblazer.
Okay.
Not Constantine. And he was a character created by Alan Moore during his Swamp Thing run. So I know him most because he pops up in the Alan Moore Swamp Thing universe.
Oh.
And he's like a begrudging kind of prick English exorcist, which is why I think it's so interesting that they chose Keanu to play this role.
Yeah. Obviously Keanu is not English, and he's very like, I don't know, LA, you know, he feels like he's from here in the movie.
That vibe, the kind of LA vibe of the entire movie, is so not the vibe of the character in the comic books.
It feels like a Hollywood choice, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know,
get the popular actor in there.
Who rules? You know, before we get too far into this, I wondered if you were having thoughts of John Wick at all while watching this. Obviously, Keanu Reeves is the reason I was having John Wick thoughts, but it isn't that dissimilar. There's sort of a world in place of all these rules and like secret, private spaces that you can only get into if you're part of this sort of secret subculture that's going on.
You're flashing a lot of like badges or coins or something to get into these subworlds.
Yeah. It kind of feels like there wouldn't be a John Wick without this movie.
The main time that I thought of him is that there's a scene where he runs. And I was like, hey, man, you run way better in the John Wick movies like years later.
This is prime Keanu, though. This is 2005. So we're like 6 years after The Matrix at this point. Keanu looks fantastic.
He's a blast to watch in this movie. And like, while I think it is so weird that he's kind of totally miscast as this character, I really liked him in it.
Yeah, I guess not having that in my brain, I had no problem with him. It seemed like a perfect Keanu vehicle. But that's very interesting that he's completely different.
It's so funny. I just read this Swamp Thing comic called Swamp Thing Green Hell. And like John Constantine is living alone on an island in that comic book. And there's even the way he's drawn, just like there's nothing about him that rings to Keanu at all.
It's like Tom Cruise as Jack Reacher.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. I mean, I liked this movie a lot. Spoiler alert, I had a fucking awesome time watching this movie. But Keanu it's so funny that it went that way because it's not who I would have ever chosen.
All right, so let's do our best explaining Constantine. This movie opens with text on screen that describes a sacred sword, right? I can't think of Spear. And this spear is what killed Christ.
Is it the Spear of Destiny?
Yeah, Spear of Destiny.
Yeah.
And it's been missing, and the legend sort of at the beginning tells us that whoever finds it or when it is found,
they can mold the world.
Yeah, they will have all the power. And the first scene takes place in Mexico, and we see a man sort of fall through the earth, like his foot falls through the earth, and he discovers, a secret hole, basically, and from it he pulls out this spear, which is wrapped in like a swastika, like flag, right?
In the text at the beginning of the movie, it says the spear has been missing since World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So seemingly the Nazis who were in Mexico, I guess, hid it there.
There's a great moment where like he picks it up and then the camera cuts to a wide sort of lens, wide angle over his shoulder with some sort of like voices.
Yeah.
And he does like a quick turnaround and like there's nobody there, but you can tell he's like being haunted immediately.
His eyes go completely black.
Yeah. And so he runs away from these voices.
No, I think the idea is that he's been taken over by whatever evil is surrounding him at that point. Because like we later find out in the movie that an evil force is after the spear. I think it's kind of controlling aspects of it at that point.
And he runs and is immediately hit by a car going very fast. And this car just like pancakes against his body. So, whatever strong, powerful force that's controlling him can turn this car into absolute demolished applesauce. Like he's like invincible. We get the idea of. Then we cut to Los Angeles. A mother discovers her young girl on the ceiling in full-blown exorcist shit.
Possession mode.
Yeah. In front of their apartment building, pulls up a taxi cab. A hand reaches out, drops a cigarette straight down onto the camera.
Yeah, the camera's on the street pointing up.
Yep.
And we see a hand reach out of a taxi window and drop a cigarette.
Incredible focus pull. Just shout out to that guy who had to pull focus to a cigarette butt like falling at the camera. He got it at the end. It was great. Keanu Reeves gets out of this taxi cab, walks into this building, and then like in the lobby runs into a contact of his who has called him, who is a priest played by the guy.
He's in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, right?
Yes. His name is Pruitt Taylor Vince.
Okay.
He's in Identity. That's what I remember him from, primarily.
Speaking of, when are we doing our Identity vacancy twofer?
But he's an incredible character actor. He's been around for a long time. He's a priest. He's called Keanu in because he is unable to deal with this exorcism himself.
And he keeps saying like, I got a real one for you. This is a big one. This is a big one.
Keanu goes upstairs, performs this exorcism, first by like pressing a cross against this girl's forehead, which is blistering and steaming.
There's a really great scene right before that where he's got like a bunch of religious objects on a keychain that he's holding up to the sun and kind of testing them out to see which one it's going to be to work this exorcism on this young woman. And then he pulls out one and the sun shines through it and it burns her forehead a little bit. So that's the one that he holds up to her forehead. It's awesome.
And while she's burning and writhing, he talks to the demon and he goes, "It's John, asshole." So right then and there, we know that this is not his first rodeo, and he is well known amongst the demon community, which is fucking awesome. A great character intro. They essentially trap this demon inside of a old, big, ornate mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So you see this goblin-looking thing inside of this mirror, and they push that out of the window, and it falls down multiple stories and shatters on top of the taxi cab that has brought Constantine, to this apartment building. And the driver of that taxi cab is a young Shia LaBeouf.
Like maybe 17?
This is pre-Transformers, right?
Yeah, without
Got to be
doubt.
like right before it. Pre-Indiana Jones. Yeah. Like even Stevens Shia, basically.
Yeah.
And
like weird to see him driving because he looks so young.
right. And he's Constantine's chauffeur / protege.
Yeah.
And I think Constantine thinks of him a little bit more as the former. And Shia is trying to kind of become his, apprentice or whatever.
I gotta say, there were some the minute the exorcism scene started, I was like, ooh, this is creepier than I remember. There were some good little bits, like when she's on the ceiling, it looks really good and she looks creepy. And I was like, oh, I didn't remember this being as much of a horror centric story.
I enjoyed the angle, though, that it almost felt like just another day's work to Constantine, as opposed to something like The Exorcist, where the priests are very reverent and understand the gravity and, whatever of what they're up against.
Yeah.
Not that Constantine doesn't, but he just sort of rolls in and is like, all right, which tool am I using? This is John, asshole. It just feels a little more.
I like how nonchalant he is. I like how this movie starts, how basically every other exorcism movie ends.
Yeah. But to your point, it's very gnarly.
Yeah.
You can tell that what you're in for is going to be intense, even if tonally it's not quite the same as what you're used to from this kind of thing.
Yeah, without a doubt.
We then meet a police detective named Angela, played by Rachel Weisz, and she is in...
So good.
So good. I forgot she was in this. Delighted to see her.
Say this, whatever you want to say about this movie, the cast is fucking next level.
Yeah, it's great. And she's got a great little character introduction where she's in a confession booth with a priest talking immediately about how she's just killed someone. Yeah. You don't yet know she's a cop, and there's a nice discovery of that. But you're sort of hearing her confession and seeing a very fast-paced montage visually of her sort of moving through the world and her life. And she speaks about always kind of knowing where the bad guy's going to be, always being one step ahead of them. This is not the first person she's taken down.
Yeah, I think, doesn't it end with her saying something along the lines of how do I keep getting myself in this situation?
And this little montage seamlessly blends into shots of her in a hospital, waking up, going out onto a rooftop and throwing herself off and falling through a skylight into a pool. And you realize that that is a dream she has had, a nightmare, or is it? We learn that she has a twin sister.
Yep.
And she has been in the hospital.
But is extremely religious.
Yeah. And we'll come to learn later that they both sort of grew up having visions.
Yeah, kind of second sight.
Yes. And she's committed suicide, her sister.
But this is a giant red flag because she's so religious that Rachel Weisz as Angela says she would have, this has to be a murder. She would have never done this.
Right. Because in the Catholic Church, if you kill yourself, it's an unquestioned one-way ticket to hell.
What do they call those? Cardinal sins?
Cardinal sin, mortal sin, some kind of sin, a big sin.
But so then Angela keeps reviewing the footage of her sister jumping off the roof of this building, and she notices, kind of very obviously and pretty silly, right before the sister throws herself off the roof of this psychiatric hospital, she says, Constantine. And she doesn't like whisper it or anything. She just straight up says it at full volume, and no one else seems to have noticed that.
No, but she replays that and it doesn't happen again.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like a vision.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, she scrolls back on 2005's QuickTime Player and actually, I think hits the wrong button. She hits the button to start a chapter over.
Okay.
But it shows it rewinding. I really like that. This threw me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen twice. So
interesting. Okay.
I believe that's sort of her being able to sort of have visions and be connected to her sister or whatever.
Yeah. I think telepathy is the right word with that.
We also see right around here, Keanu is coughing up blood and then going to see a physician. We see x-rays. He has black spots all over his lungs. He's terminal lung cancer, smoker. He's fucked.
In every single scene that he's in, he lights a cigarette.
Yes. They run into each other, him and Rachel Weisz, at a hospital. And what does he say? He's like in an elevator. She approaches. The doors are about to close. Does she say, you're going down?
And he says, like, I already knew that. And then, or something along those lines.
It felt weird that she walked up to an elevator door full of people and said, you're going down.
I think she says, are you going down?
Are you going down?
And he says something along the lines of like, yeah, but not soon enough.
I see.
Yeah.
How's your mother? She's on her way out. We all are. Act accordingly. Then they meet again at sort of a religious library.
Yeah, they just keep bumping into each other. It's like that. It's like a bunch of comic book meet cutes.
But in this library, she is on a mission to talk to a priest about her sister having, I believe, like a Catholic burial, right?
Yeah, but she can't get it because of the suicide of it all.
Yep. And then Keanu is there to talk to none other than the angel Gabriel, played by none other than Tilda Swinton.
Exquisitely played by Tilda Swinton.
Hell yes.
I loved this scene a lot. Keanu Reeves is basically showing up there to say, listen, I've done a lot of heaven's work by getting these demons off of like mankind's realm. You have to give me leniency. I need to go to heaven, or can I have more time with the lung cancer? And Gabriel's like, no.
She says, you're going to die young because you smoked 30 cigarettes a day since you were 15. And you're going to hell because of the life you took.
Yeah.
You're fucked, is what she says to him.
That line's awesome.
And we don't know what that means yet, the life he took. Shortly thereafter, Keanu Reeves is at a gas station buying cigarettes. No, I'm sorry. Fair enough. Fair enough, Constantine. He's buying cough syrup.
Mm-hmm.
He walks out onto the street and has a coughing attack, as we've seen many times. And he's leaning down into the street, coughing, retching. In front of him runs a rat, which no big deal. We're in a big city, a lot of rats. Then on his foot crawls a crab. And you're kind of like, what? And then suddenly he is attacked by a, as my note says, bug rat crab man, which is basically a demon made to look, the shape of a person-ish, but he is made of a swarm, essentially, of bugs, rats, crabs.
Yeah. I will also say, too, that, like, he has fought, like, a couple demons at this point, and this one is completely different than the other ones. And when he talks about it later in the movies, he says, it was a full demon. And I'm like, oh, is that what full demons look like?
Bug, rat, crab man. Yeah, it's not totally clear to me, the answer to that question, because you see the demon in the mirror that comes out of the girl, and she's sort of Lord of the Rings Gollum-y style, right? You also see people in hell that may or may not be demons that also look Gollum-y, but they have sort of like the top of their heads are sliced off.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You can kind of see into their brains. I don't know. I'm not really sure what it constitutes a demon or not.
Those seem like lesser demons.
Yeah. He fights this thing. It kicks his ass for a little while and then gets hit by a truck. And then Keanu Reeves stomps all over the residual beetles.
Bugs. Yeah.
One of the things that reminds me of John Wick is there's a bar that's run by a man named Midnight, who's played by Digimon Hansu.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this bar is sort of underground, password protected, and filled with...
I thought angels, right?
Okay, that could be.
That's like what I looked at it as.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Father Midnight keeps saying that his house, his rules. And I think it's a place where both demons and angels can go. And like they can't fight in any way.
Okay, yeah. It's the Hotel Continental for angels and demons.
A resting place for all. Dude, how about in John Wick 2 when they show up to the Italian Continental and Franco Nero goes, John, please don't tell me you're here for the Pope.
Dude, the sommelier scene. I think about that all the time.
The best.
Delicious. At this point, can you maybe explain the general philosophy of angels, demons, sort of keeping the balance?
Okay, so...
We could wait till the liquor store scene if you want, because that is the actual sort of...
I think the idea is that, like, God and the devil have made a pact.
A wager.
Yes. And they cannot full on control mankind to do one thing or the other. But they can send down or up angels to manipulate and kind of whisper, things into people's ears to kind of turn the tides, but they can't full on pick a person and make them do anything.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're in a wager of sort of how many souls one or the other can take hold of.
There's not really an end game. It just is like a constant wager between the two.
Yeah. Keanu what's he looking for at this midnight bar?
He's looking for a chair that he can use to access hell to get certain information about how these demons have been able to actually cross over into mankind's realm.
He's denied access by midnight. Shortly thereafter, he does go to hell. And he goes while at Rachel Weisz's apartment. He's going in order to determine whether or not her sister is there.
On her request.
Exactly. And how does he get to hell? He sits in a chair, puts his bare feet into a...
No, they're not bare feet. He wears leather shoes.
Interesting. Really?
Yeah.
Is that part of it, or he just doesn't take his shoes off?
No, he just doesn't take his shoes off.
Puts him in a pot of water, a cooking pot of water, and holds onto a cat. Is that it? Does he just think about it really hard? He doesn't have to sort of...
No, doesn't he die?
How does he die?
Oh, no, that's how he sends her to hell for a hot second.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people going to hell in this movie. There's and then coming back to life. Yeah.
He sits in this pot of water holding this cat, and he goes to hell. And hell, as we see it, is just LA. Hot, fiery day. Just on the 101, heading down to downtown.
Also, he's holding a cat that looks exactly like your guys' cat, Hammy.
It's terrifying. It looks exactly like Hammy if Hammy was a few pounds lighter. He's even got Hammy's fangs. Hammy has resting fangs where he shuts his mouth and his teeth are just sticking out.
Incredible.
Yeah. If it weren't for the release date of this movie, I'd be asking serious questions. In hell, he is running, escaping these running on all four golem, half-headed, demons or people, running away from them. And he sees Rachel Weisz's twin, who I think at this point turns to him and says Constantine the same way she does in the video. Yeah,
she does. Yeah.
And he reaches out toward her, and just as he's about to come back, or is he being attacked by these demons?
Yeah, he's grabbing her hospital bracelet.
Right. But how does he get back?
Okay, he jumps up, grabs the hospital bracelet, at the same time smashes a vial of holy water on himself.
Oh, yeah.
As these demons are kind of grabbing at him, and he's transported back into man's realm. That scene was awesome.
Holding the hospital bracelet. So he's brought it back from this other hell realm. And thus proves everything Rachel Weisz needs to know.
Yeah.
That it was a suicide and that he has these capabilities. You mentioned the holy water. There's a great scene earlier on that's sort of like a James Bond Q scene where a contact of Constantine's comes over to his apartment and brings him all of these hell demon fighting accessories, like little balls of holy water from the River Jordan and some kind of fire shooting thing, right? It's very funny, and again, just expands this sort of world that's, you can tell, is very established among a very select few people, otherwise of which is taking place in reality, John Wick style.
So there is a scene in which we are in Constantine's apartment, and there's like 45 5-gallon jugs of water under a windowsill. Am I supposed to believe that's all holy water? Because if so, that's awesome. Because if so, I do.
Unless he's the coach from the faculty, I think so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
There's a big sort of set piece where demons attack Rachel Weisz and Keanu in a downtown street after she's coming to visit him at his apartment.
Oh, that scene was awesome, dude.
Yeah. Like all the power starts going out on the street. You know, the street lights, the buildings and stuff coming closer and closer to them until they're basically enveloped in darkness.
Well, it's this great shot too, because they're backlit by a giant like Virgin Mary statue.
Yeah, the power has not gone out on that. Yeah.
And then at the very end it goes out.
And these demons come out of the sky, all these fiery, it's filling the whole sky. Keanu wraps, is it like a sacred cloth or something around his hand? Do we know what that is?
No, okay, so that's the best thing. It's like getting darker and darker, and he has this sacred cloth wrapped around his hand. We do not know what it is. It's something. Mm-hmm. And he like lights it on fire and holds his hand up in this way that illuminates all these winged demons around them, and then like does something with it, like does some type of spell, and they all burst into flames.
It rocks.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
They're at a diner after he's gone to hell, after they've been attacked by demons, and at this point Keanu gives us a little info on his backstory. He's always been gifted or cursed, depending on who you're asking, with his visions. And as a teenager, because of these visions, at one point he committed suicide. And he was on Earth, technically dead for a matter of minutes.
2 minutes, he says, yeah.
And he went to hell for having committed suicide. And according to him, 2 minutes on Earth being dead is a lifetime in hell. So he has spent relatively more time in hell than he has as a man on Earth. And now his job essentially is to find the angels and the demons who have stepped outside of their bounds of gently whispering influence on people, right? The ones who have exerted more than their fair share of like agreed upon powers from God and the devil. Mm-hmm. And his job is to basically deport them back to hell or to hell. And he's doing this in order to buy his way into heaven, even though he presumably has, according to the angel Gabriel, you know, a
tainted soul, if you will.
Tainted soul, and he's got no way out.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to hell no matter what he does.
Because you also can't buy your way into heaven. The idea is that if you're saving lives, you have to do it selflessly, and he's doing all this stuff selfishly. Mm-hmm. So finally, this like all culminates in Constantine battling the devil's son, who is trying to make his way into man's realm to like reap benefits and like change humanity. And they're going to do this through Rachel Weisz's Angela, because they have to come through a powerful medium. Demons in this world have to come through a human host to get into man's realm.
There's an unreal sequence where the demon world, whatever, captures Rachel Weisz in order to, you know, set this all in motion, bringing the devil's son. And they're in a high-rise building. Keanu has just taken out the lead singer of Bush. And Rachel Weisz gets pulled by an unseen, you know, force, but, you know, devil power. It pulls her through this high rise horizontally. So she's just going through all these different rooms in hallways, just like crashing through walls, crashing through hallways. And Keanu is running after her, trying to stop them, trying to catch up with her.
Yeah.
And it's super intense and visual. And eventually she flies out, you know, the side of the building and up into the sky. And the camera's sort of pulling back and leaving Keanu in a, you know, a hole in the wall looking up in this huge wide shot of the city at night.
It's really good. It's really so cool. It's so good.
She ends up crashing down onto the same hospital swimming pool where her sister died, right?
Yes. through the same skylight.
And in this hospital, there are a bunch of other demons, right? They've all gathered there. Keanu shows up and...
Yeah, I think they're kind of trying to protect the like sacred ceremony that's about to happen.
Okay. So it's basically like if Keanu Reeves walked into Rosemary's neighbor's apartment with a gun that the front of which looks like a crucifix and shoots explosive gold bullets.
He is armed with this incredible crucifix shotgun, but he's taken a bunch of his gallons of water to the hospital and he has Shia hook him up to the water system. And so right as he walks into this room to get to the pool room,
they've filled the sprinkler system with holy water.
And so all these demons turn to him and they're snarling and, they're drooling. They're about to start charging him. And he says, I don't remember what, he says something fucking awesome. And then holy water sprays out of the sprinkler system, akin to the blood rave in Blade 1.
Yeah, definitely. If the blood rave in Blade 1 involved right before the sprinkler comes on, it just cut to Michelle Monaghan, who you have not seen in this movie ever, and she just is like, fuck you, and then she just gets drenched with holy water and disintegrates.
It melts. It was awesome. I loved that part.
And then while they're melting, he starts unloading this crucifix shotgun on them, and they're exploding in like black blood.
Basically, think of the top-down camera from John Wick 4 with the flamethrower shotgun.
Yep.
But it's a shotgun filled with holy water, and he's killing demons instead of other assassins.
And you're in like GTA 5 rampage mode.
Yeah.
It rocks.
Incredible stuff.
Meanwhile, the angel Gabriel is trying to extract the devil's child from Rachel Weisz's stomach.
Spoiler, Gabriel's a bad guy.
Who didn't see that coming? Gabriel's attempting to bring out the devil's son in order to prove that God is
kind of
forgiving
weak,
too many people, right? He's weak, exactly.
Yeah.
And that once the devil's son is around, there'll be a lot less people who are truly worthy of God's love.
And the ones who are will basically be like highlighted and granted free passage into heaven.
Yep.
So Keanu, knowing this fact, now kills himself because Constantine knows that if he kills himself for like the 90th time, the devil will personally come up and drag his ass into hell. And the devil is played...
It's like when you go to a restaurant enough times and the chef comes out and greets you.
The devil is played impeccably by Peter Stormare, who is just like eyebrowless and dressed in white. He's got black, gooey feet.
White suit. Another John Wick connection.
Yeah, wow, good point. He's just gross and awesome, and Constantine convinces him to stop Gabriel and his son's plan, mainly because he wasn't included in on the deal.
So Satan burns off Gabriel's wings, takes away their power, right?
Gabriel tries to smite Satan. And because they double-crossed God, God has removed his blessing of Gabriel.
Gabriel, has no powers at this point.
Yeah. So Gabriel tries to punch Satan, and Satan just like lights his wings on fire.
Mm-hmm. No more devil's son at this point?
Remember, Gabriel had to stab Angela. We're going to have to go so far back if we do this. Oh my God.
Whatever.
This part makes no fucking sense.
There's a lot going on in this climax.
Yeah.
The devil's son's arrival has been thwarted, and Satan basically tries to make a deal with Constantine, right, to like bring him back to life. But instead, Constantine makes a deal with him to send Rachel Weisz's sister, her twin sister, from hell to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
The devil agrees and then starts bringing Keanu down to hell with him, but is immediately unable to do so because Constantine has now selflessly given
himself up for somebody else.
Yep. And what better way to get into heaven? And he starts ascending.
But they basically say, you have too much work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they burn off his shitty, awful, cancer-ridden lungs.
The devil reaches into his chest. Is this because is he sort of working as God's instrument at this point?
No, I think we're off on our timing, but I think that but the devil does burn out his cancer-ridden lungs.
He rips them out.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
It's wild. He's just holding them in his hands.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh. But because of his selflessness in this act, is basically granted another chance. He does not have the cancer, the stage 4 cancer that is destroying his body. My question is does he have any lungs at this point?
I think he just rips out the tumors.
Cancer. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
They look pretty small to be lungs.
You know, I am not a surgeon. It truly wraps up like a comic book in the sense of where it's like, and Constantine lives to see another day.
Quit smoking.
Yeah, he starts chewing gum. It would have been cooler if he popped a chiclet instead of like putting a stick of gum in his mouth.
Well, we did our best there. There's a lot going on in Constantine.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure any of that. Wait, but what it comes down to is, did you like this movie?
Yes. Totally.
Dude, this movie's awesome.
Yeah. I apparently can't tell you what it's about, but it's pretty good. It looks great.
Oh, man, this disc is awesome.
It's really well directed, I think, and I love Keanu in it.
There's some bad camera work.
You think so?
There's a couple of shots where it's like, ooh, you were trying to make this kind of look like a comic book almost too much. It was one of those things where it's like, these aren't as cinematic as you think they are. But I had a blast watching this movie.
There's a great scene we forgot to mention where Rachel Weisz goes to hell, and she does so by letting Keanu temporarily sort of drown her in his bathtub. Yeah. And it's really good because she's very willingly going underwater. He's pressing down on her chest to keep her under, and then it slowly becomes, oh shit, she's drowning. She's trying to get him to stop. She's thrashing around. He won't stop. And it cuts to a water droplet coming off of the faucet that freezes very briefly in midair from our perspective. And as Keanu has said already, 2 minutes on Earth is a lifetime in hell. So you see this droplet freeze for just a fraction of a second, and then she comes shooting out of the water. He knows what happened. He lets her come up, and
the bathtub explodes.
You never see what she saw. Yeah, the bathtub explodes. Exactly. She comes flying out of the side of this cracked porcelain tub, and you never see what she saw, but you know where she went, and I love that.
Being a fan of comic books and being a kid who grew up reading comic books all the time, I think that what Marvel did was cool in terms of they tied 20 movies into one story. Fine, cool. But I have such a soft spot for something like this that's pretty campy and pretty dumb, but also just set so much in its own storytelling logic, and I don't feel like I have to do a bunch of homework to know what is going on. And what you're talking about where it's people just go to hell in this movie all the time, it's awesome. And the logic of the movie makes enough sense where I was like, man, I had a great time. And it was so cool to see because of the time it was made. There's some bad CGI in it for sure, but there's some really cool practical effects in this movie too.
Did you stick around for the post-credit scene?
In this movie?
Yeah.
No way.
So you got to watch this after this.
Dude, no way. I'm going to turn it on right now.
He goes to the graveyard, and there's a grave with huge text on it that says Shia's character's name. And Keanu puts his gold Zippo lighter that he's been using the whole movie, but he doesn't need it anymore because he doesn't smoke anymore. Puts it on the gravestone, and he's like, "You did good, kid." Shia died, by the way. We forgot to mention that. Shia got fucked up.
He dies during a botched exorcism.
Keanu's walking away from the grave. He's walking straight toward the camera, blocking our view of the headstone. And then huge angel wings sprout out that appear to be coming out of Keanu. And you're like, what the fuck? But then camera moves or cuts or something, and you see that it's Shia on top of his headstone.
No way.
Full CGI faced Shia with huge angel wings. And he shoots up into the sky.
Damn. Dude, Honestly, give me a Constantine 2, but I don't want Shia. I want Swamp Thing.
I think they're working on Constantine too, to be honest.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
Keanu's been talking about it, and it is listed on Francis Lawrence's upcoming projects.
Wow.
Sign me up. I hope I can explain the ending better than I can. Part 1.
I had such a good time revisiting this. Such a good time.
It rocks. It looks great on 4K. There's a bunch of special features.
This disc is awesome.
It looks like, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of them yet, but I will for sure.
A couple commentaries. There's one new special feature, it looks like, that's a retrospective. Sounds like it has cast members, Keanu, director, all sorts of people coming back to talk about it. So there you go. Okay, Sam, before we go, it's time to put wishes out into the physical media universe for titles on formats that do not yet exist. Are you ready?
Cannot wait.
I wish
I wish for a 4K from Arrow video of the 13th Warrior.
I wish for, and I'll explain this in more detail when we're done, A24 to release more of their back catalog on 4K.
All right, so what do you mean?
I feel like they're doing a really good job lately. It's not always 4Ks, to be fair, but A24 is releasing their own films themselves, you know, like on their, it's on their web. It used to just be on their website. Now you can kind of get them everywhere, which is cool. But
Barnes and Noble.
Yeah. You know, like they released a 4K of The Brutalist and Baby Girl, and there's an upcoming 4K of Warfare. And then a lot of their movies they've also just put on Blu-ray, but it's, you know, I have opinions on kind of the physical quality of their packaging.
Yes.
That aside, I just feel like they started doing this wholeheartedly really in the last few years. They had done some of their titles before. There was like the big kind of director's cut of Midsummer. They did The Lighthouse. They did The Green Knight, you know, some of those taller, bigger ones. But I wish they would kind of go back to some of the things that were coming out before they were doing this all the time. Things like Lady Bird would be awesome in 4K, or a version of Moonlight that they do, or Hereditary. Some of these things are already in 4K, but not through them. Yeah, I just think they've made so many good movies over the years that there's such a back catalog that they could be bringing back.
Yeah, that's a good call. There's definitely some of those titles I'd love to grab.
What's up with the 13th Warrior? Michael Crichton?
Yeah, based on a book by Michael Crichton called Eaters of the Dead.
Directed by John McTiernan?
It's the last movie he did before he went to the Clink.
Damn.
Yeah. It was on at work the other day. I definitely bought a previously viewed VHS of this movie from a Blockbuster for $9.99, I believe.
I feel like they had a lot of those.
Yeah.
A lot of copies of this one for sale.
This movie, I don't remember much of it other than Antonio Banderas. And when I was a kid, this movie was like mesmerizing to me. It was so cool and intense and like scary in some scenes. It rules.
Okay.
It totally rules. And it might be terrible, but I'll tell you this right now. It rules.
Who's the most likely to put this out?
I would say like Kino or Shout.
I bet Shout.
It just seems like perfect in that kind of middle lane.
Yeah.
Or Arrow, but I don't get a lot of like I think the fact that Arrow is doing Spawn is really interesting because it's like a 1997. Yeah, I don't know how well it did. I just don't feel like they put that stuff out all the time. It seems way more like a Kino or a Shout thing. So,
yeah,
you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm trying to see that. Eaters of the Dead is a better title, though.
Without a doubt.
I guess you'll just have to watch Congo while you wait, Sam. Okay, that is it for another episode of Physical Therapy. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate you guys so much. Please tell your friends. Please leave reviews wherever you're finding this.
Give us a follow. Send your physical media-loving dorks to our doorstep, please.
Please, we'll take them. A big thank you to Patrick LeBon for our incredible music. Thank you to Kimberly, who is somewhere out there.
In the ether somewhere.
Producing our show. We will be back next week. Will it be Time Cop? Will it be Deep Blue Sea?
It's pretty much one of those two. So
it's one of those two. You can't go wrong. We will see you next week, one way or the other.